The rise of Mykhailo Mudryk, from Ukrainian prodigy to Chelsea star. Mykhailo Mudryk's story is not just a tale of footballing talent. It's a story of resilience, ambition, and an unwavering drive to succeed at the highest level. From the dusty fields of Ukraine to the bright lights of Stamford Bridge, Mudryk's rise to stardom reflects the journey of a young boy who dreamed big and worked relentlessly to make those dreams a reality. Early years and the road to Shakhtar. Mykhailo Mudryk was born on January 5, 2001, in Krasnohrad, Ukraine. From a young age, it was clear that he possessed something special. His speed, technical ability, and natural understanding of the game set him apart from his peers. He joined the youth academy of Metalist Kharkiv before moving to Dnipro, where his raw talent began to shine. It wasn't long before Shakhtar Donetsk, one of Ukraine's top clubs, took notice. In 2016, at just 15 years old, Mudryk joined Shakhtar's academy. His rise through the youth ranks was rapid. His dribbling, quick feet, and ability to change direction with ease made him a nightmare for defenders. He was promoted to the first team in 2018, but his true breakthrough came after a loan spell at Desna Chernihiv, where he gained valuable first-team experience. Mudryk's performances upon returning to Shakhtar were electrifying. His blistering pace on the left wing, combined with his close control and eye for goal, made him one of the most exciting young talents in European football. By the 2021-22 season, he had become Shakhtar's standout player, impressing in both the Ukrainian Premier League and the Champions League. The big move to Chelsea. In January 2023, Mudryk made headlines when Chelsea secured his signature for a reported €100 million transfer fee, making him one of the most expensive Ukrainian players in history. The pressure was immense. The Premier League is notoriously tough, and Mudryk arrived at a Chelsea side struggling for form and consistency. Mudryk's early days at Stamford Bridge were challenging. Adapting to the physicality and speed of the Premier League took time. He faced criticism from the media and fans, but Mudryk never let it affect his confidence. He worked tirelessly on his game, refining his decision-making and improving his strength. His breakthrough moment came in a high-stakes match against Liverpool. Mudryk came off the bench and delivered a game-changing performance. His blistering runs down the left flank left defenders chasing shadows. He provided an assist and nearly scored a spectacular solo goal, earning a standing ovation from the Chelsea faithful. From that moment on, Mudryk grew in confidence. He began delivering consistently in big games, scoring crucial goals against Manchester United and Arsenal. His connection with Chelsea's attacking players improved, and his chemistry with the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer gave Chelsea fans hope for the future. Mudryk's style of play and impact. Mudryk's playing style is a blend of raw speed, technical brilliance, and creativity. His acceleration over short distances is almost unmatched, and his ability to shift direction while maintaining control of the ball makes him incredibly difficult to defend. His quick feet and natural flair often draw comparisons to legends like Arjen Robben and Eden Hazard. What sets Mudryk apart is his versatility. He's equally effective as a playmaker, cutting inside to unleash curling shots, or staying wide to stretch defenses and deliver precise crosses. His ability to create chances from seemingly impossible positions makes him a constant threat. Off the pitch, Mudryk's work ethic and humility have made him a fan favorite. His dedication to improving his game and his willingness to learn from setbacks reflect a maturity beyond his years. The future, a Ukrainian star in the making. As Mudryk continues to develop under Chelsea's management, the sky is the limit. He has the potential to become one of the Premier League's most feared wingers and a key figure for Ukraine's national team. His performances in European competitions have already drawn admiration from football's elite, and with Chelsea's ambition to return to the top of English and European football, Mudryk could be the catalyst for a new era of success at Stamford Bridge. Mykhailo Mudryk's journey is far from over. It's only just beginning. He has the talent, mentality, and platform to become one of the defining players of his generation. If he continues on his current trajectory, Mudryk could go down in history not only as one of Ukraine's greatest ever players, but as a global footballing icon. From rising star to Chelsea's main man, Mudryk's evolution at Chelsea wasn't without setbacks. After his breakthrough performances, expectations skyrocketed. The media scrutinized every touch, every decision, The weight of a €100 million price tag became a constant narrative. But Mudryk's response was not frustration or hesitation, it was determination. As the 2023-24 season progressed, Mudryk's consistency began to shine through. His pace and skill were no longer flashes of brilliance, they became reliable weapons. Under the tactical guidance of Chelsea's manager, he was deployed more effectively, often playing as an inverted winger to maximize his ability to cut inside and create scoring opportunities. A turning point came in the second half of the season during a high-stakes clash against Manchester City at the Etihad. Chelsea were struggling to hold possession, pinned back by City's relentless pressing. Then, in the 78th minute, Mudryk received a long ball near the halfway line. In one fluid motion, he controlled it with his left foot, pushed it past Kyle Walker, one of the fastest defenders in the league, and exploded down the wing. What followed was a moment of pure brilliance. Mudryk cut inside, wrong-footed Ruben Dias, and curled a right-footed strike into the top corner. The Chelsea away end erupted. The goal wasn't just technically perfect, it was a statement. A declaration that Mudryk had arrived as one of the Premier League's elite players, becoming a leader. Following the performance, Mudryk's confidence soared. His relationship with the fans deepened. The Stamford Bridge faithful would chant his name every time he picked up the ball. More importantly, his leadership qualities began to emerge. Despite his young age, Mudryk became one of the team's driving forces in the locker room. His work ethic on the training ground was infectious. Teammates spoke about how Mudryk would stay late after sessions, working on his finishing and decision-making. His natural humility allowed him to absorb advice from senior players while setting an example for Chelsea's younger generation. In a decisive Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid, Mudryk once again delivered when it mattered most. With Chelsea trailing 2-1 on aggregate, Mudryk was handed a start. Early in the second half, he picked up the ball near the edge of the box, danced past Dani Carvajal with a feint, and unleashed a rocket into the bottom corner. He followed that up with a perfectly weighted through ball that set up Chelsea's winning goal. Stamford Bridge exploded with noise. Chelsea were through to the semi-finals. After the match, when asked about his performance, Mudryk smiled and simply said, "I'm just doing my job. There's more to come." International glory and global recognition. Mudryk's rise wasn't confined to Chelsea. His performances for Ukraine's national team elevated him to hero status at home. Ukraine's qualification campaign for the 2026 World Cup was spearheaded by Mudryk's brilliance. In a crucial qualifier against Italy, Mudryk delivered one of the greatest individual performances in Ukraine's football history. He scored twice, the first a blistering run and finish, the second a delicate chip over the goalkeeper after a mazy dribble. Ukraine's 3-2 victory secured their place in the World Cup, and Mudryk was hailed as a national icon. At the World Cup in the United States, Mudryk's star continued to rise. He scored 3 goals in the group stage, including a stunning solo effort against Brazil where he picked up the ball near the halfway line, glided past 3 defenders, and calmly slotted the ball into the bottom corner. Ukraine advanced to the knockout stages for the first time in history, with Mudryk leading the charge. By now, the comparisons to legends were unavoidable. Journalists began linking his style of play to players like Cristiano Ronaldo and Thierry Henry, not just for his speed and technique, but for his ability to deliver in clutch moments. Mudryk and Chelsea's new era. Back at Chelsea, Mudryk became the face of a new era at the club. His partnership with Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez became one of the most dynamic attacking trios in Europe. Chelsea, once struggling to find consistency, became a powerhouse once again. Mudryk's versatility allowed Chelsea to build their attack around him. If Palmer was marked, Mudryk would drift centrally, exploiting gaps in the defense. His assist count climbed as he became as much a playmaker as a goalscorer. In the 2025 Champions League final, Mudryk's impact was decisive. Facing Bayern Munich, the match was locked at 1-1 deep into extra time. In the 118th minute, Mudryk received the ball on the left flank. He accelerated past Alphonso Davies, no easy feat, and cut inside. Instead of shooting, he squared a perfect ball across the face of the goal to Cole Palmer, who tapped it in. Chelsea lifted the Champions League trophy, and Mudryk was named man of the match. Global superstar and legacy. Off the pitch, Mudryk became a global icon. Major brands lined up for endorsements. His social media following exploded, and his humility and dedication made him a relatable figure to young footballers worldwide. But Mudryk never let fame affect him. After every big win, he would return to his hometown in Ukraine to visit family and local schools. He set up a foundation to provide training facilities and coaching for young Ukrainian footballers. Giving back became a central part of his identity. By 2028, Mudryk was not just Chelsea's leader, he was the captain of the Ukrainian national team, leading them to their first-ever major final in the European Championship. His legacy was secure, but his hunger for success remained undiminished. "My journey isn't over," Mudryk told reporters after lifting the Euro 2028 trophy. "I've only just begun." A legend in the making. Mykhailo Mudryk's story is more than just football. It's about perseverance in the face of doubt, about adapting and growing under pressure. His journey from a young boy in Krasnohrad to a Champions League winner and national hero proves that talent alone isn't enough. It takes heart, discipline, and the willingness to push beyond limits. As the curtain rises on the next chapter of his career, one thing is certain: Mykhailo Mudryk is destined for greatness, and his story is far from finished, dominating the Premier League and beyond. After Chelsea's historic Champions League triumph, Mykhailo Mudryk's career entered a new phase, the phase where good players become legends. The 2028-29 season marked the beginning of Chelsea's dominance in the Premier League, and Mudryk was at the heart of it all. Under a newly appointed manager with a progressive, high-pressing tactical approach, Chelsea became an unstoppable force. Mudryk thrived in this system. His speed and dribbling ability allowed him to exploit high defensive lines, while his improved decision-making made him a constant creative threat. In a crucial Premier League clash against Liverpool at Anfield, Mudryk put on a masterclass. In the opening 20 minutes, he scored a stunning solo goal, collecting the ball deep in his own half, outpacing Trent Alexander-Arnold, and finishing with a curling shot past Alisson. Later in the match, he assisted 2 more goals, one from a pinpoint cross and another after a slick 1-2 with Cole Palmer. Chelsea secured a 4-1 victory, and Mudryk's performance left Liverpool fans applauding despite the defeat. By the time the season reached its climax, Mudryk had scored 21 goals and provided 16 assists in the Premier League alone. Chelsea secured the title with 3 games to spare, their first domestic league title since 2017. Mudryk was named Premier League Player of the Year and Chelsea's Player of the Season. Chelsea's back-to-back Champions League titles. Chelsea's domestic dominance spilled over into Europe. Mudryk's ability to rise to the occasion in the biggest matches became his trademark. In the 2029 Champions League semi-final against Barcelona at the Camp Nou, Mudryk delivered one of his most iconic performances. In the 70th minute, with Chelsea trailing 2-1 on aggregate, Mudryk picked up the ball on the left wing, skipped past 2 defenders, and rifled a shot into the top corner. Moments later, he executed a no-look pass to set up a game-winning goal for Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea advanced to the final, and Mudryk had once again proven himself as a clutch performer. The final against Paris Saint-Germain was a tense affair. PSG, powered by Kylian Mbappé and a new generation of stars, took the lead early. But Mudryk responded in the second half, scoring a poacher's goal after capitalizing on a defensive mistake. Then, in the final minutes of extra time, Mudryk created a moment of magic. He received a pass from Cole Palmer, flicked the ball over Marquinhos with his left foot, and smashed a volley into the bottom corner with his right. Chelsea lifted their second consecutive Champions League trophy, and Mudryk was again named man of the match, becoming Ukraine's all-time great. While Mudryk was thriving at Chelsea, his influence on Ukraine's national team reached new heights. In the 2030 World Cup in the United States, Ukraine shocked the football world by advancing to the semifinals, their deepest run in tournament history. Mudryk scored 5 goals throughout the tournament, including a stunning brace against Germany in the quarterfinals. His goal in extra time, where he weaved through 4 defenders and calmly chipped the goalkeeper, became one of the most replayed goals of the tournament. In the semi-final against Argentina, Mudryk's leadership was evident. With Ukraine trailing 1-0 late in the match, Mudryk delivered a perfectly weighted corner that led to a header from his teammate, leveling the score. Though Ukraine ultimately lost in a heartbreaking penalty shootout, Mudryk's performances earned him the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. By the time he reached 30 years old, Mudryk had become Ukraine's all-time leading goal scorer and most-capped player. His leadership both on and off the field inspired a new generation of Ukrainian footballers. A Premier League dynasty. Chelsea's dominance in the Premier League continued into the early 2030s. Mudryk became Chelsea's captain after Reece James retired in 2032. His ability to lead by example, both in training and in high-stakes matches, solidified his status as one of the greatest players in the club's history. By the time he was 32, Mudryk had lifted Why'd have you checkmarked 5 Premier League titles? Why'd have you checkmarked 3 Champions League trophies? Why'd have you checkmarked 4 FA Cups? Why'd have you checkmarked 2 Club World Cups? In the 2032-33 season, Chelsea completed a historic treble, winning the Premier League, Champions League, and FA Cup in the same season. Mudryk was Chelsea's top scorer and assist leader. His ability to reinvent himself as a more central playmaker while maintaining his explosiveness allowed him to stay at the top even as his physical prime began to fade. In a defining Champions League final against Real Madrid, Mudryk scored the opening goal, a clever chip over the goalkeeper, and assisted Cole Palmer's winner in the 75th minute. Chelsea lifted their 3rd Champions League trophy under Mudryk's leadership, and his legacy as a Chelsea legend was cemented. Global icon and philanthropist. Off the field, Mudryk's impact extended far beyond football. His foundation for Ukrainian youth football expanded across Eastern Europe, providing coaching, facilities, and opportunities for young players. Mudryk's humility and connection to his roots never faded. He frequently returned to Ukraine, attending local matches and supporting grassroots football programs. His public speeches about perseverance, resilience, and staying true to one's identity resonated with fans worldwide. In 2033, Mudryk was named the UNICEF ambassador for Ukraine, using his platform to raise awareness and funds for rebuilding infrastructure and supporting children affected by conflict. Mudryk's influence on global football culture grew as well. His signature celebration, a heart gesture with both hands, became iconic among young players. Top clubs around the world began to model their youth development programs based on the training techniques Mudryk promoted. The farewell season. In the 2035-36 season, Mudryk announced that it would be his final year as a professional player. Chelsea organized a testimonial match at Stamford Bridge, inviting past and present legends to honor Mudryk's career. The stadium was packed with fans wearing Mudryk jerseys. In his final Premier League match, fittingly against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge, Mudryk delivered one last moment of magic. In the 88th minute, with the score tied 2-2, Mudryk picked up the ball near the halfway line. He skipped past 2 defenders, cut inside, and curled the ball into the top corner. Stamford Bridge erupted, and even Liverpool's manager could only smile and applaud. At the final whistle, Mudryk fell to his knees as his teammates surrounded him. The fans chanted his name for nearly 10 minutes. Mudryk, tears in his eyes, took a final lap around the pitch, thanking the Chelsea faithful for the years of support. After the match, when asked about his career, Mudryk smiled and said, "I gave everything I had to this game. Football gave me everything in return. Legacy and immortality." Mudryk retired as Why'd have you checkmarked Chelsea's all-time leading scorer, 249 goals? Why'd have you checkmarked Ukraine's all-time leading scorer, 103 goals? Why'd have you checkmarked Premier League's top assist provider, 150 assists? Why'd have you checkmarked 6-time Premier League winner? Why'd have you checkmarked 4-time Champions League winner? Why'd have you checkmarked Ballon d'Or winner, 2029, 2032? Mudryk's statue was unveiled outside Stamford Bridge the following year, capturing the image of him with arms raised in celebration after his decisive Champions League goal against Bayern Munich. Mykhailo Mudryk's story isn't just about goals, trophies, or records. It's about heart, resilience, and the power of belief. From the streets of Krasnohrad to the pinnacle of world football, Mudryk's legacy is secure. And as Chelsea fans still sing his name at Stamford Bridge, one thing is clear. Mykhailo Mudryk will forever be a legend. ChatGPT. From legend to mentor. Mykhailo Mudryk's retirement from professional football didn't mark the end of his influence on the game, it marked the beginning of a new chapter. After stepping away from the pitch, Mudryk took a brief hiatus from football, returning to his hometown in Krasnohrad to spend time with family and reflect on his career. But the game never really left him, and neither did Chelsea. In the summer of 2037, Chelsea's board extended an invitation for Mudryk to return, not as a player, but as part of the coaching staff. Despite receiving offers from top clubs across Europe, Mudryk's heart was always at Stamford Bridge. He accepted the role of Chelsea's assistant coach, working under one of his former teammates, Cole Palmer, who had taken over as head coach after his own legendary playing career. Mudryk's transition to coaching was seamless. His tactical mind had always been sharp as a player. His ability to read the game, find space, and exploit weaknesses translated perfectly to the training ground. But his greatest strength was his ability to inspire. In his first season as assistant coach, Mudryk took young wingers under his wing, helping them refine their positioning, timing, and decision-making. His influence was immediately clear in the development of Chelsea's young talents, especially a young Ukrainian prodigy named Andriy Kovalenko, a left-footed winger with blistering speed and a similar playing style to Mudryk. In a Premier League clash against Manchester United at Old Trafford, Kovalenko scored a sensational goal after executing the same quick step-over and curling finish that had become Mudryk's trademark. When asked about the goal after the match, Kovalenko smiled and said, "I learned from the best." Mudryk's influence extended beyond Chelsea's academy. He was invited to speak at UEFA coaching seminars and became a leading voice in the modernization of youth development programs across Europe. His emphasis on creativity, technical ability, and mental toughness shaped a new generation of players. The return to Ukraine. While Mudryk was thriving as a coach at Chelsea, his heart remained tied to Ukraine's national team. In 2040, Ukraine's head coach, a long-serving figure, announced his retirement. The Ukrainian Football Association approached Mudryk with a bold proposal. "We want you to lead the next generation." Mudryk didn't hesitate. After speaking with his family and Chelsea's board, he accepted the role as head coach of the Ukrainian national team, while maintaining a consulting position at Chelsea. His goal was clear: to guide Ukraine to their first major international trophy. Mudryk's tactical mind and deep understanding of the game quickly transformed Ukraine into one of the most dangerous teams in Europe. He instilled the same attacking philosophy that had defined his playing career: high pressing, quick transitions, and clinical finishing. At the 2042 European Championship, Ukraine stormed through the group stage. In the quarterfinal against France, Mudryk's tactical masterstroke, switching to a false nine formation, unlocked France's defensive line. Ukraine won 3-1, with Kovalenko scoring twice. In the final against Germany, Mudryk's team played with fearless intensity. A 2-1 victory, secured by a last-minute goal from Kovalenko, gave Ukraine their first-ever European Championship title. When the final whistle blew, Mudryk stood on the sideline, arms raised in triumph. The scenes mirrored his Champions League glory days, but this time, it wasn't about his goals. It was about the legacy he had built as a leader, a coach, and a symbol of hope for an entire nation. After the match, Mudryk embraced Kovalenko and whispered, "Now it's your turn." Coaching Chelsea to glory. After his success with Ukraine, Chelsea's board approached Mudryk with an offer he couldn't refuse. "Would you like to be our next manager?" Cole Palmer, having led Chelsea to multiple domestic and European titles, had stepped down, and the club's hierarchy saw Mudryk as the natural successor. In the summer of 2043, Mudryk was named Chelsea's head coach. His first season in charge was a roller coaster. Chelsea, in transition, struggled early in the campaign. But Mudryk's tactical adjustments, including a switch to a 3-4-3 formation and an emphasis on overlapping wingbacks, turned the season around. Chelsea climbed from 10th place at Christmas to finish second, securing Champions League qualification. Mudryk's tactical brilliance came to full bloom the following season. He built an attacking trio of Kovalenko, a young Brazilian wonder kid named Luis Fernando, and an English playmaker named James Rowland. Their chemistry resembled the legendary trio of Mudryk, Palmer, and Enzo Fernandez from the club's golden era. In 2045, Chelsea reached the Champions League final against Real Madrid, a rematch of Mudryk's iconic triumph as a player. This time, Mudryk was leading from the sidelines. Chelsea were down 1-0 at halftime. Mudryk's halftime talk was legendary, calm but direct. He told his players, "I've been here before. This is our moment. Trust yourselves." In the second half, Chelsea scored twice in quick succession. Kovalenko provided the winning goal, a curling strike from the edge of the box, eerily similar to Mudryk's famous strike against Bayern Munich in 2032. Chelsea lifted their fifth Champions League trophy under Mudryk's leadership. In the post-match interview, Mudryk smiled and said, "Winning as a coach feels even better." The final chapter. Mudryk's tenure at Chelsea extended for nearly a decade. Under his leadership, Chelsea secured White Heavy checkmark 4 Premier League titles. White Heavy checkmark 2 Champions League trophies. White Heavy checkmark 3 FA Cups. White Heavy checkmark 2 Club World Cups. In 2052, Mudryk announced his retirement from coaching at the age of 51. His final season ended fittingly. Chelsea won the Premier League with 2 matches to spare, and Mudryk was carried off the field on the shoulders of his players after the final game at Stamford Bridge. When asked why he was retiring, Mudryk said, "I've given everything to this game. Now it's time to let the next generation carry the torch." Mudryk's legacy was immortalized when Chelsea renamed the West Stand at Stamford Bridge the Mykhailo Mudryk Stand. His statue outside the stadium was joined by a second one, this time depicting Mudryk as a coach, arms crossed with a knowing smile on his face. An immortal legacy. Mudryk's career, both as a player and as a coach, left an indelible mark on the sport. He retired as Trophy 8 Premier League titles, 4 as a player, 4 as a coach. Trophy 6 Champions League trophies, 4 as a player, 2 as a coach. Trophy 3-time Ballon d'Or winner, as a player. Trophy UEFA Coach of the Year twice. Trophy Ukraine's all-time leading goal scorer and most capped player. Trophy European Championship winning coach. In 2016, Mudryk was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame in Zurich. His induction speech was simple. Football gave me everything. All I ever wanted was to give something back. When asked about his legacy, Mudryk smiled and said, "I hope kids in Ukraine and around the world know that if you work hard, dream big, and stay humble, anything is possible." Mykhailo Mudryk wasn't just a footballer. He was an icon, a leader, a legend. And as long as football is played, his name will be spoken with reverence. Mykhailo Mudryk, the man who defined an era. The global impact of Mudryk. Mykhailo Mudryk's legacy didn't stop with trophies and records. His influence stretched far beyond the pitch. As the years passed, the Mudryk effect became a recognized phenomenon in global football culture. In Ukraine, his rise had inspired a footballing revolution. Youth academies across the country were now filled with young players emulating Mudryk's playing style, the quick feet, the sharp turns, the effortless balance between speed and finesse. His influence reshaped the way Ukrainian football was taught, with an emphasis on technical brilliance and creativity over physicality. The new generation of Ukrainian players began dominating European club football. By the 2050s, Ukraine was regularly reaching the latter stages of international tournaments, and every young player who stepped onto the pitch for the national team cited Mudryk as their inspiration. But Mudryk's reach extended beyond his home country. Across Europe, South America, and even in Asia, young players copied his famous training methods, quick bursts of acceleration, off-balance shooting, and the signature inside cut finish. His celebration, a heart sign with both hands, became universal. From the Brazilian favelas to the streets of Tokyo, kids shouted Mudryk when scoring in backyard games. Nike even launched a global campaign called Play Like Mudryk, featuring the legend himself training with young players from diverse backgrounds. The commercial became the most-watched sports advertisement of all time, with the tagline, "It's not about where you start, it's about where you finish." Mudryk's influence extended into the gaming world, too. In FIFA 2050, the Mudryk cut, the sharp inside cut followed by a curling shot, became a signature skill move. Players worldwide mastered it, hoping to replicate the magic Mudryk had created on the pitch for decades. And when asked about the pressure of being compared to him, young players would often smile and say, "If Mudryk could handle it, so can I." A political and cultural icon. Beyond football, Mudryk's status as a global figure gave him a unique platform. As a proud Ukrainian, he became an outspoken advocate for peace and unity. In 2048, Mudryk was invited to speak at the United Nations General Assembly. His message was simple but powerful. Sport unites us. It gives us purpose. No matter where you come from, war, poverty, or hardship, the game of football reminds us that we are one team. He partnered with international humanitarian organizations to rebuild schools and training facilities in war-torn regions. Mudryk personally funded the construction of over 50 football academies across Eastern Europe and Africa. His foundation provided scholarships for young athletes from disadvantaged backgrounds, creating a clear path from the streets to professional football. Mudryk's public image was spotless. He was charismatic but humble, always deflecting praise and redirecting it toward his teammates and coaches. His focus on mental health awareness made him a rare type of sports figure, one who openly discussed the pressures of professional life and the importance of psychological resilience. When he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2051 for his work in promoting unity through sport, Mudryk simply said, "Football saved me. I just wanted to give something back." The final game. In 2056, Chelsea organized a testimonial match for Mudryk at Stamford Bridge, not because he had retired recently, but because the club wanted to honor him while he could still enjoy it. The match featured Chelsea legends and footballing icons from around the world. Fans flew in from every continent. Stamford Bridge was draped in blue and yellow, the colors of Chelsea and Ukraine. The stadium was filled hours before kickoff, with fans chanting Mudryk's name long before he even stepped onto the pitch. The lineups were legendary. Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Reece James lined up alongside Mudryk one last time. On the opposing team were international icons, Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., and other stars who had once competed against Mudryk at the height of his career. In the 75th minute, with the score tied 3-3, Mudryk picked up the ball near the left wing, the same spot from which he had scored countless times in his career. The crowd sensed what was coming. Mudryk dropped his shoulder, cut inside on his right foot, and curled the ball toward the far corner. The goalkeeper dove, but there was no stopping it. Goal. The crowd erupted. Fans wept. His teammates surrounded him. Mudryk stood with his arms raised, his signature heart celebration on full display. The moment froze in time, an image that would be immortalized in statues and murals across London and Kiev. In the post-match ceremony, Cole Palmer spoke directly to the crowd. "We've played with legends. But there's only one Mykhailo Mudryk." Mudryk took the microphone and addressed the fans. "From the first day I walked into this stadium, you've supported me. Through the highs and the lows, you believed in me. I gave you everything I had. Thank you for making this place my home. Chelsea will always be my family." As he walked toward the tunnel, a young boy in a Chelsea jersey ran toward him. Security started to intervene, but Mudryk smiled and waved them off. The boy handed him a piece of paper. Mudryk knelt down and read it. The note said, "I want to play like you one day." Mudryk smiled, signed the boy's jersey, and whispered, "You will. Just never stop dreaming." Legacy beyond football. After stepping away from football, Mudryk's name remained tied to the game. Chelsea's training ground was renamed the Mykhailo Mudryk Complex. Ukraine's largest stadium was renamed Mudryk Arena. Every young winger who showed blistering pace and quick feet was compared to Mudryk. Every creative attacking midfielder who delivered in big moments was linked to his name. But more than his playing style or records, it was Mudryk's mentality that defined his legacy. His resilience, his humility, and his work ethic became the blueprint for future generations. Journalists often asked Mudryk how he wanted to be remembered. His answer was always the same. "Not for the goals. Not for the trophies. I want to be remembered for how I made people feel." And he was. Young players would watch highlights of his Champions League goals. Coaches would reference his tactical adjustments. Fans would wear jerseys with Mudryk printed on the back, not because of his success, but because of the way he carried himself through success and failure alike. The statue and the future. In 2065, a third statue of Mudryk was unveiled outside Stamford Bridge. The first statue depicted him celebrating after his famous Champions League winning goal. The second depicted him on the sideline, arms crossed as Chelsea manager. The third statue was different. It showed Mudryk with a hand resting on the shoulder of a young player, handing him a football. The inscription read, "For the next generation, keep dreaming." The man who became more than a legend. Mykhailo Mudryk's story wasn't about football alone. It was about resilience, creativity, and leadership. It was about overcoming doubt, embracing pressure, and finding strength in adversity. From Krasnograd to Stamford Bridge. From rising star to global icon. From player to coach to legend. The game of football had seen many greats, but only one Mudryk. And long after his last goal, his last match, and his last day at Stamford Bridge, the echo of his name still rings through the stands. Mykhailo Mudryk, the heart of Chelsea. The pride of Ukraine. The man who changed football forever.